Skulls of suicidal farmers, tears in women's eyes. This is what we observe over here in India. All attributable to the corruption and the NPAs created by public sector bank credit decision makers. What's the cost or what's the price of these tears? We can observe over here. The farmers at protest. The condition has been brought about owing to corruption, and the deficit created in the public funds has to be filled. The banks need to be bailed out. The borrowings need to be waived off. These need to be provided with succor from the government. All the borrower accounts need to be written off to be bailed out from the public coffers. But this is not taking place due to corruption. Many public sector banks, decision makers are protesting the bailout and waiving off of farm credit or the farmer's credit. This is how that's the ugliest face of corruption. Several billions of dollars of NPAs created to be bailed out of taxpayers' money in the country, and no respite to these farmers, and they are staging protest at the national protest site of India. Utter shame for the humanity. 7 billion of global human populace, and official records show 1.3 billion of human populace across the globe. This is what humanity is facing. This is unacceptable for any humankind. Shame, shame on those people, shame on decision makers, shame on corrupt public sector banks for creating non-performing assets. It's only the public sector banks and not the private ones. Those are topping the chart, global chart in banking. And only the public sector banks, those created NPAs, and that money that was used for bailing out those could have been used or utilized for providing them waiver from credit. Farmers' credit matters. Farmers' lives matter. They must get their rights, and corrupt ones in the public sector banks are required to be prosecuted. To make India a place to be in, what requires is implementation of the schemes. Of course, there are schemes, but no implementation. And why implementation is not being possible? Because there is no corruption. Former RBI governor says to make India a place to be in, we have all sorts of schemes, all sorts of policies, but what is required is three things: implementation, implementation, and implementation. And we suggested them that those three things can be brought about. First, understand the reason thereof. Then the reason is corruption, and another is corruption, and another is corruption. So these three reasons are there. And to eliminate these three reasons, you need three things. That is prosecution, prosecution, and prosecution. We need to wipe off these tears. We can't tolerate. This is against humankind. Intolerable. Not at all.